For this episode, Hannah Chua joins me on the show. Hannah is a graphic designer in New York, and I've had the pleasure of knowing her for over a decade now. She's one of my sister's closest friends, and it is such a rare treat to be able to spend time with her and to have the opportunity to get to know her. We delve into her life, her work, and how all of that fits into living in New York. Please welcome Hannah Chua. Welcome to Wear Yellow Proudly's Through Our Lens, Conversations with Asians and Asian Americans. I am your host, Julia Sanchez. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to this episode of Wear Yellow Proudly's Through Our Lens. My name is Julia Sanchez, your host. I'm currently here in New York with Hannah Chua.
Hi!
You want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, so I know Julius from one of my best friends back home, Colleen, and we've been friends since like middle school. Happy to hear that Julius is in the big city. I've been here for about 5 years.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah,
Oh, that's insane.
I know. Since like graduating college, it was like time to like move up and like do new things, and thank God I like found an internship that like led me to the city, and where like I didn't end up like taking that job from the internship, but I ended up like applying, and I thank God I like found a job at this company called Bustle, where I did a bunch of like online like magazine publication work. I'm a graphic designer, and I feel like I've been interested in like the art since I was young. Like I feel like with my older sister, we've always been dabbling in like pottery and like traditional arts and whatever, and like I feel like with this new age that we're living in, it's like filtered through to like web design, which I am now in and I'm loving. I'm currently at this company called Laundry Service. It's another like creative agency, and we focus on mostly like social media work. And I'm working on a Google account for it.
Okay, cool. Oh
Yeah.
my God. So what got you into that? Just like what you're doing right now?
Yeah, so I think as I said, like I loved like arts, and I wanted to like, coming from like an Asian household, I wanted to like bring that kind of focus where I could like actually make money from it, because as you know, Filipinos were like, you got to have like a job in like in healthcare or like as a lawyer or like whatever. So there's a there's a lot of pressure to like make it here, and I get it. Like my family came from the Philippines, and they like started a new life here, and like they want to see us like do the best. But thank God my sister took that path, and so
My sister too.
yeah. So I was just like, I have a little more free will, and I honestly didn't know what I wanted to do in college. It was just really hard for me to like, did I want to be a nurse and like follow like my family's like footsteps and like being in healthcare and like whatever. And then I found advertising, which I think it's a really good mix of like creative and like just real world like problem solving. I was in a portfolio class, and it was called creative advertising within University of Texas, and it was just like kind of like a rigorous process of like creating like a portfolio of work, and then like showing that off, and then like not being cut at the end of each like semester. So that was an interesting part of my college years. But it was, I mean, I feel like it worked out, because through that I like met a lot of people. Like I found my internship, and then I found my way up here. So yeah.
That's like the coolest thing. So how have you been like finding yourself in this world, and just like coming from that? From like how your journey was like in college to like how you find.
Yeah, I think it has to do with a lot of the friends and people that you meet in New York City. I know it's really hard to like find a group that you really like gel with, and then also feel like you're part of the community. I feel like it was also like kind of hard to like find that in middle school and high school, and thank God I found like a small group that I could like just be myself with. And then coming from college, the internship I keep talking about that like led me to New York City was called MAPE, and it stands for Multicultural Advertising and Internship Program. So yeah, so it was just like gathering a bunch of like people with multicultural backgrounds accounts and then placing them in advertising spots around the city. And so I think that's where I found a lot of my like close and like longtime friends that I found here. So like finding that community and making sure that like I had someone that I could rely on coming from like such a long distance like from home, and like knowing people from Texas that actually moved here, I think that like helped a lot with like the transition from the move from Texas to New York. I mean, and obviously that didn't come with like all its difficulties, because I feel like living in New York City, you have to accept the highs and lows. Like moving here, like my first time, I think the first time I cried was having to get an AC, and I wanted to save all of my money. I wanted to save all my money, and I like had a friend that was selling their AC, but I was living in Hell's Kitchen at the time, and she was in Bushwick, so I took an Uber pool, if we all remember that. Took an Uber pool from there and then back, and I had to carry the whole thing. It was just so heavy, and taking an Uber pool, like they can't drop you off like at your doorstep. So I had to like carry it like from like 2 streets away, and I was in a 5-floor walk up, and it was just like,
Oh no.
why am I doing this? This is this is like where it all like crumbles. But you know what? You take what you can get, and I just learned that I just have to be stronger.
My friend, one person I was staying with a friend, his place was also
Yeah.
I quickly learned that there was no
Yeah.
there's also no guarantee either. I think it's been fairly fine, especially like when I first got into this stuff. But just kind of
Yeah, but dead of the summer, like here, it's like hot if you do not have an AC. It's
pretty
horrible.
humid too.
Yeah. Ugh.
How has that been like from like transitioning from that to just like how it's like now? How has it been like?
Yeah. So I'm still in a 5-floor walk up, but I have moved to Williamsburg. It's a little nicer of an area. Though I do miss Hell's Kitchen, because I miss like going to Central Park. Like I was here during the pandemic, and I would just go to the Sheep's Meadow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I stayed because I was like, I don't want to like bring anything to my family. Like that was just like my biggest fear.
So you're from
Yeah, so I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna like stay put, like hopefully like it ends soon. Did it. But yeah, I read here all the time. I just like hung out with like my roommates that also stayed back. But yeah, all of this to say, I moved to Brooklyn, which I think there's just a little more like diversity there. Maybe not so much in Williamsburg, but like when you go like you filter through like Queens and like Prospect and like in like just inner like Brooklyn, I feel like you find a little more peace of hope.
Yeah. So what have you liked better, being in Manhattan?
I'm gonna say Brooklyn. Okay. Yeah, I think there's just so much. I will always love Manhattan because it was like it brought me to the city, and it brought me like my little pieces of like. It brought me the little things that I love about New York and how much I like want to stay here. But I think Manhattan has just like been changing constantly. I feel like it's just so overwhelming sometimes, like with the crowds and like the tourists, and I don't know. I feel like even like the restaurants and like the things that like people go to, it's just like so packed with people who like are seeing New York for the first time, and not people who are actually like living the life. And I want, yeah, no, but I want to be around people who want to stay in New York for like the long haul, and like who like know like the little spots that I don't know of, or like I want to go to like my neighborhood like bodega or like my neighborhood bar and just like hang out and chill there, you know.
It's funny you said that. I think it tracks so much because a lot of friends said I may or may not sometimes miss New York. Almost always miss Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Regardless if they've lived there or not, they've always appreciated Brooklyn for what it is. And honestly, I don't know what that means. And it's always so fascinating hearing that. Because I feel like not being from here. Life updates. I'm here for a show. I'm not here by any means. Here at all. I'm just here.
You never know.
And, I know, right? But I'm here for a show until November, which is really wonderful. It's my first gig in the city, which is really great. But again, it allows me to connect with people. It allows me to connect. I've known Hannah for
Yes. So how many years? 15?
middle school, yeah.
Or 12? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know that.
At this point, it's over half of our lives.
Yeah.
Which is really wonderful. It's actually one of the only times that we actually have ever gotten to hang out, which is
Yeah.
really cool.
No, truly.
Yeah, I think ever since you guys went to middle school and high school, and we never get to see each other. So it's just really rad. Of all places, New York, it's just really, really cool. But yeah. So how have you been finding yourself as a designer being here?
Yeah. As a designer, I mean, I feel like it's like just such a learning curve. I mean, starting out from it in college, like it was always like, what YouTube tutorial can I watch? Like, what free classes can I take to like learn Photoshop? And like currently, I'm learning like After Effects.
After Effects is
I know. It's actually really fun, and like there's just so many like tools and like. And I wouldn't say that I'm like an expert at it, but I'm like really trying because it's something that doesn't used to be. We are moving like in graphics style. I feel like we are moving where like there is like a little more animation, a little more motion to like draw the attention.
Social media is so rad. It's very much here to stay, and it's really amazing what people do with it, how people consume it, and also being in theater, being in opera, at times it can really be archaic. And it's really rad whenever people incorporate that art in opera. It's like great, like we're
how do they incorporate it in like the backdrops and stuff like that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So for us, sometimes the scenery is like practical scenery. You build a castle, or you build like a home, or whatever. Like you build walls, or whatever. Sometimes you have backdrops where it's like it's a sky, or it is a forest, or it's like they're painted. However, sometimes they're projected sets, which means projected sets, but it's just a huge thousands and thousands of dollars. Yeah, for like a huge projector that's like bigger than me. That's like in the back of the theater, or like maybe like hung from the rail, and it's just like down set, and it's like building the scene behind it. So you can't, or even like it's projected from behind, and it's like inverted. It's a really cool technology. It's really rad. And so with that, you can have like the scenery, or like pretend like somebody like running or something, and like it's just like moving behind them. And it's just projected. Sometimes it's basically using a very, very powerful version of PowerPoint. It's like the most basic way of explaining it in some ways. And it's really cool. So what's really great about that, I was talking about I love projected sets, and I love how music becomes okay, cool. I can make this piece of scenery, this projection, their projections. We're currently in Central Park. And so what's nice about that is the fact that if you don't like it, you can just easily change it and just like swap that one and make another else, or build another one, or make another one or something with painted scenery. You just pay thousands of dollars for it, and of course it takes like weeks and months of work to paint it, and then you're just kind of like, I don't like it. We want to change it. And it's
are you part of the team that like goes in and paints everything, or do you have like a separate like?
Great question. There's a separate paints team. Usually
that's fun. I'd want to be a part of that one.
Yeah, here's the thing. I'm not an artist in a lot of ways.
In a way, you are, but yes.
Yeah, but like, it's very much like I don't have that certain like visual detailed eye in that way. Where for them, so paint is usually part of scenery, and so like parts like props is also part of scenery. And so in that way, they help build that world of just like cool, like this is like period we're in, or like this really abstract things we're looking for. And so, so there's that. And so there's some bigger companies like Juilliard or like the Met stuff where they have their own second cast department, and they are the ones that help actually the props or the set or like the backgrounds or whatever else. And so a lot of it sometimes goes into storage right after the show or whatever else, and then they get sorted out elsewhere, which is really cool because then they can make money off of it instead of like it living in a storage thing. But anyway,
that's really interesting.
Yeah, that's very much that. So there is also a growing niche in theater where graphic design is very much needed, where it's people do build things specifically for theater, where, like especially some like shows like the other Hanson, it's primarily set in the modern age. It has to be because of social media and like how it's like show, but it's it's.
I've only watched the movie, but I've been wanting to watch it.
Same. It's been really really cool because like, they like threads and they just like things and they share things and whatever else. Seeing things that they are seeing on their phones, and so but it's a lot of it is projected, and again that's where I think it really excels, where we can't see what's in their hand, we can't see what's on their phone, but it's still part of the storytelling. So it further incorporates us into their world, so just like the text is kind of going through, or just like the light numbers kind of going up, or just like so I think it's really rad. And so anyway, if you ever want a job, I'm sure in theater, it's like
that's amazing.
People do need that because it's very much growing.
And with like AI and like all of that stuff, like everything's changing. I feel like I'm like learning new things, like having to learn new things and adapting because there's so much technology.
Can you expand on that actually? Like as real life human being that is a graphic designer that is very much in that. Like, can you share your thoughts on like AI and like how
I think it is helpful, like especially when I have, not that I have to like write essays on anything, but like asking like something to like write me like a little synopsis about like what I think about whatever. I feel like it's very quick and easy to like use that, especially, and I feel like it's really like helpful for like college students who need like a little help on their like cover letter or like resume. Like I think it's very helpful in that aspect, and like whereas for me, like I use it to like make mocks to like show to client, like if I need like a really quick mock and I'm like someone sitting in a cafe like drinking like a Coke or something. I don't know. And like I feel like those renders are like really helpful to like put something out really quickly and like not waste time on like other like valuable projects. But and then there's another side of me where like, is it taking away from like the art of artists? Like I don't know. And I think like there are some artists out there who are like taking AI and making it their own and still creating new art. But I feel like it just like toes the line. It depends like how much you actually change what you're using within that space versus like just creating content by like putting in a set of words.
Oh my gosh. That is insane. Holy crap. Because like, I know like I feel like there's like legislation that's like being trying to pass, or just like especially like with a lot of friends and notes as well. They are just a very, I feel like for me at least, like my Instagram is just like, AI is for artists and everything, and how that's been kind of consuming. Like it's so easy and so easily accessible. It's like the nicest thing about it, I would say.
For sure.
And
I see that, and I think it's difficult for like digital artists versus like I'm assuming your friends are more in the traditional art space. And I feel like it's just like different mediums and how you use it, and I totally see like both sides. So and even when I was like first seeing it, I'm like, wow, so you're taking from like different artists, mashing styles together, and then just creating a piece. Like that's not really like making anything of your own.
It's terrible. It's awful.
But I if you use it in a way that like you change it, or like use it in a way that's not really like promoting your own work of art,
not making it like not adding a humanistic aspect to it, where it's like, it's my own or something. What are your inspirations for you with your art, with like what you've designed?
Inspiration. I mean, I'm heavy on the social media, so I like follow a bunch of artists like on my Instagram. That's like my number one app. But I feel like there's always so many people like whether it come like coming from like a digital space or like I love interior design, so like getting inspiration from that, or like I love looking through like magazines because I feel like people kind of miss out on like the different like layouts that like that holds versus like scrolling through a phone. I don't know, and just like even walking around the city, like I try to go to like new spots too, and like
Oh my god.
yeah, like seeing all the murals, like seeing all like the different like art installations, like I feel like that's just always inspiring, which is why I love living in New York so much. I feel like people here are just so creative, and it's like it makes me want to be like a better version of myself in that aspect.
And somebody that follows you, I think this isn't me gassing you up. It's actually very true. It's like I love watching your stories just because for me it's so aesthetically. It's really really gorgeous in how you present art or just like view things in your own way. That's why I love social media. Or just like just that
like
general,
seeing things through other people's eyes.
Yeah. It's through your lens.
Yeah,
It's really
yeah.
And, so,
and I feel like I get that from people too, and I don't want people to think that like, oh, she puts so much effort into like all of her photos and stuff. But I just genuinely enjoy like seeing something that I find like beautiful, and then like putting it on like my feed so that I can see it like in the future. Like, yeah, that's how I want other people to see what I post as well.
And even if you do put in a lot of effort into it, so what?
Yeah.
But for me, like I don't know, just like again, like it's so aesthetically pleasing. Just like going through, you know that like there's like certain people who just like kind of like watch TV and Instagram stories or just like swipe through.
Yeah.
But for me, it's definitely like I love going through your section. Like, where's she at? Like, who cares? This is really pretty. Or just like how you take a photo, or just like how you present whatever it is.
Yeah.
I don't know. For me, it's just so gorgeous in how she like presents things. I love it. I just like love going through your stuff. Yeah, no, I think it's so aesthetically pleasing. How you post and like what you post, it's so inspirational. And so yeah, I'm just like, oh my god, where is she? Like, this is so rad. Like,
I'm literally just in New York.
yeah. But like it goes to like the point that you're saying is that it's so nice being here. It's like I feel like you get to so much. It's like okay, like there's like well, my commute when I was just like going home. And I feel like you can definitely get lost in just like, okay, like this is my commute, and it's like walking back. But there was a table that was just like outside of this, like right on the sidewalk, and like
selling things.
Some people were, but like on the next stall over, but there was. These guys just like playing dominoes and like
love that.
It's like the silliest thing, but like for me aesthetically, I'm just like this is really cool. You don't see that. You don't see that in like a lot of places. You may see that in the Philippines.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm just like like this is right. Like it just felt very
homey,
natural. Yeah. It just felt like this. Like you're part of the neighborhood in a lot of ways, or just like you're just like people just like playing outside. And like it felt so nice being outside as well. I was like, this is actually really rad. So. Again, you don't see that in Houston. You don't see that in like a lot of other places. Just inside, like people playing.
Yeah, I feel like here I feel like we would make any excuse to have an event like outside, like drinking outside, going to the park and having like a picnic. Like I feel like that's exactly. I feel like it's like such a normal and like it's like the first thought that like comes to mind for people because. It like the weather is just almost always like beautiful here, other than like the frigid temperatures and like the really really hot summer days. We get those like when it's that nice temperature where we can like enjoy like the fall and enjoy the spring. I feel like people are just always outside.
Yeah, and I feel like there's also less of a stigma about doing whatever you want. And that's what I appreciate about being in New York is the fact that. You do whatever you want, nobody really cares. It's just like people are starting to make business. People are recording podcasts, cool. Like, whatever. I feel like
there's no batting of the eyes.
It's just like, okay, like whatever. Just keep walking. I feel like you can tell who are not from here by the ones that are just like stopping. Actually like, taking photos. It's just like
crazier stuff has happened in the city.
It's like two people with a mic, and like I feel like you see that a little bit more often. Do you want to talk about your Asian background?
Yeah. Okay, so my mom and dad, they were born and raised in the Philippines. However, my dad, his family like emigrated from China, and so he's full Chinese.
Oh, okay. Is that where Chua comes from?
Yes.
Am I pronouncing it correctly?
Yes, Chua. Correct. And yeah, his family moved to the Philippines, and they grew up there, and like his whole life changed. My mom and dad met there, and then they thankfully like moved to the States because they wanted us to like live a better life. Like my Lola, my grandma, moved here, or she didn't move here, but she like came here with my mom so that she could help my mom find a job and like get her green card, and all of that stuff. But when I was 2, we moved to Texas,
Wait, where were you born?
the Philippines.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah.
So how old were you when you guys?
2.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Gotcha.
So I can understand Tagalog. I do not know any Ilocano. I'm like I can know like a few words of Ilocano, but like that's it. And I wish I could speak Tagalog a little more. I feel like I like speak it in a way that I'm mixing like English and the language, which is always like, what are you saying? But it's like a special language between my sister and I because we both speak in that like Tagalog English like language. But yeah, I mean, I love like that's why I always like call my mom and dad because I always have like a random fear that I'm gonna forget the language, which I'm not. I like grew up with it. And then even like I don't know, like when I think of the future and like having kids of my own, like I want to bestow that language as much as I can to them too. Like I would want to like immerse my kids in like actually learning it, whereas I like was not like part of that.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Like a few words here, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, I feel very fortunate to have retained the language. My sister.
I know. I'm always jealous of you and Colleen like talking it, and I'm like, please speak to me more.
Well,
You
like-
can speak to me now.
Like Colleen and my mom make fun of me because I don't speak it as well, or I'm just very babbled whenever I speak, just because I don't get to speak it as much, and like they get to as much with each other,
Oh yeah.
or a lot more than I do with them. And they consume more Filipino. They have and do consume more Filipino media more than I have.
Yeah.
Even when I'm talking to like Filipino relatives or like my friends, Filipino friends, like even when I do say like, oh, I can understand you, I know what you're saying, like they keep speaking to me in English, or like they just like don't remember that what I said like 10 seconds ago.
Sure, yeah.
So I'm like, okay, this is fine. Y'all are like just smiling and not listening.
Sure, yeah, for sure. No, it's really fun, especially like your parents' friends that are just like, oh, like blah blah blah, and they like talking about you like right in front of you, and then I try to milk it, and I'm just like, keep saying things. I can understand you, so it's fine.
Especially when they're gossiping. I'm like, oh tell me more, so I can tell my family like when we're alone.
Yeah, no, it's really fun. How has your journey been like with, like you said earlier before, being in the arts and also just being Asian and just how that's been like? Can you expand on that?
I think it's more, I feel like the space that I'm in, like advertising, it is like predominantly white, and like people in like the C-suite or like people in like higher positions, they are like predominantly like white males.
What do you mean by C-suite?
Oh, like just like people in like like the directors and like the people like in the
like in leadership.
in leadership.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And so I think coming from that multicultural internship, like I think it was like really important to see people like kind of gathered together, like seeing people like my color, darker colors, whatever. And just seeing people kind of like wanting to see more diversity in our space because it's so far and few. And I wouldn't say that I've necessarily had like troubles, but I wouldn't say that I've had like advantages that more people would have. And maybe that's also because I'm a woman and I
right.
Yeah. And I think it's just like learning and maybe like pushing myself harder. That's even though that's, I feel like that's horrible to say, like you're a woman and a POC and you have to work harder just to like show
but
up.
it's true.
But
you know?
you kind of have to do that, and it's like something that I've like grown accustomed to, and it sucks, but like hopefully more people like me are like doing the same thing so that we can give more opportunities to people in like the younger generations, and hopefully that will be the case.
Yeah, for sure. How's that been like? I obviously I do not know what it's like to be a woman, and but I do know in some regards, obviously being a person of color. How's that journey been like for you in general? Just like how.
I think it's
because like also like for opera, it's predominantly white as well.
Yeah.
And like I get it. Like we're not necessarily with where we come from, we're not necessarily pushed to be in the arts. I was in fact discouraged to be a part of it.
Oh, me too.
yeah. So, how's that been like for you in general? Just like
Yeah, I mean, and even in like seeing it in my workplace, I feel like a lot of I feel like we lead more male coworkers versus female.
Oh, really?
But
Okay.
I honestly just think like it's the name of the game. You kind of have to like be chummy with like who you can be, and like try to find those like outlets where like you can see yourself like succeeding in like other ways and like finding like new routes. So that's how I've been navigating it personally. And kind of, I would like to say that I use like my womanhood as like as a positive. I bring like a different energy than than maybe males might not have.
I will say, working where I do, I feel like I've always felt much safer, much more heard, much more understood whenever it comes to female leadership or just like female coworkers in general, especially in the arts. I was in Opera Saratoga in Saratoga Springs.
Oh, nice. I haven't been.
It's really pretty there. It's really, really nice. Highly recommend. But I was there this past summer, and our leadership team, or like our admin team, was all female led.
Whoa.
And I already felt like very safe and just like very much heard already. And
Like
I was.
heard?
Yeah. I think that was like a huge plus. And like, not that I've never not in other spaces, especially like male-led spaces, but I just felt like there was like a certain level of being understood, or just like being given the time and
space.
Yeah. I thought that was really, really rad.
Yeah. We need a little more of that. So hopefully we're teaching our younger kids that it's okay to feel things and like be nice.
Yeah, for sure. There was also something that I like read somewhere where it's like if you ever want to like understand the culture a little bit more, from like maybe like at face value of a place, try to look at their leadership of just how it's like, and like especially like their board as well. And see where that's at. My roommate right now, the person that I'm like I'm subletting, but the person that I'm staying with right now said through some interviews that he's had, he mentioned because like everybody has like some EDIC thing or just like equity and inclusion and everything statement that's out, and he's definitely asked people through interviews asking, so has your EDIC policy been out before or after George Floyd? And it's like a very eye-opening.
That's
like,
a good question.
Yeah. I thought it was like a very eye-opening thing of just like, and like of course,
Dang,
like
I'm gonna put that in my pocket for later.
Yeah. I'm like not necessarily terrified to ask, but I'm definitely terrified to ask that because I'm just like, please give me a job. But also the bare minimum is like everybody posting like Blackout Tuesday or like posting up like the black square, but also it's just like, was that like your policy before? And like of course it's like unspoken.
How
I'm sure.
Performative were you?
Yeah. And like how bare minimum was it? Kind of. But I thought that was like a really big thing, and I'm just like, oh my god! Like of course like everybody understands like this primarily came out, especially like bearing out of like George Floyd and like how performative it was, especially for bigger companies. But how true do you hold to that? And I thought that was like a really fascinating thing.
That's a great question.
So are you like living by your like?
So I Williamsburg is very expensive. So I have 3 other roommates, I'm loving the area for now, and like I feel like it's just really close to like all my other friends that live in the area.
Cool. Yeah.
So yeah, I've been loving it.
Nice. Cool.
I will say I wish I had like a bigger like I wouldn't say necessarily Filipino, but I wish I had like an Asian group where I could like find myself in. I feel like all the friends that I kind of like made here, like my close relationships thus far, have been like all basically from Texas.
Okay.
And like through my internship program, which was predominantly like people from Texas as well.
Oh wow.
So I wish I had like a little bit more of like a group where I could do like I could feel like it was part of like how it was like when I was like in Texas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you didn't exactly come here totally without connections in a way, or like without friends,
It
or like
was
rather
the-
people that you know.
Yeah, it was kind of like the connection of, oh, we went to the same college, let's
Sure,
become
yeah.
friends.
Yeah. common ground. Yeah. That'll go very far.
Yeah,
with it.
and it did, and I'm just like I'm very thankful for like all the relationships I've made, but in terms of like forming and not forming, but like still furthering like my Asian identity, I wish I was in more like Asian like groups.
Sure. Yeah. Were they people also in the arts, or just like in design?
A lot of graphic design and like art direction.
Okay.
In advertising.
Yeah.
I feel like it's kind of like a mishmash of like things.
Yeah.
I have a couple friends like who are in med school right now.
Oh, okay. Like
yeah.
here still?
Yeah.
Or, oh my God. Insane.
Yeah, they're applying for residency, so I'm like, oh, I'm excited for you. They both
Do you
go
still
to
keep in
NYU.
touch and stuff?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
And like one of my friends is like doing data, another
Okay.
is doing like health services. So like,
Oh my God.
just
Like
a
a
lot of
huge
things.
like mixed bag.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That is so rad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you keep up with them often?
Yes. They're like
Oh.
my core group here.
Oh my God, that is so
Shout
cool.
out.
Yeah. That is so rad. So okay, for somebody that is like totally new-ish to New York, being here, especially being here for a few weeks, is there anything that you suggest in terms of just like things to do or like things to go check out?
Oh,
or,
I
like,
love this question.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like you've had your fill of like.
I like my fill of Manhattan. I think it's like the biggest
I think
thing.
you really need to go to Brooklyn. I think you need to go to Astoria for the food.
Okay.
I think you need to Sunset. Okay, the places that you need to go for food are Astoria.
Okay.
There's a Filipino like street in like Queens.
Really? Okay.
Or Woodside.
Yeah.
Which I think it's just fun to like bop around and like get like little treats here and there. And then I went to Sunset Park yesterday for like this really good Malaysian place.
Oh my God. Okay.
It was amazing. And have you heard of the fruit papa fruit?
No. Oh, what is that?
So my friend had texted me and he was like, this manufacturer is only like selling like bulk items of this fruit called papa, and it's only for like this week. Like I think it's only good for this week. And we're like, we have to go to this restaurant that is like specifically making a dish because they got this like fruit there.
Wow. Okay.
And we were like, oh, okay. So we like drove all the way to Sunset Park. And it's this fruit that kind of has this like custardy, like it kind of has like kind of like faint, like a faint taste of like really soft mango and a little bit
wow.
of banana, but
Oh,
it's like
what?
a little custardy. It's so good.
Yeah.
And I was like, this was so worth like us coming here because
Yeah.
they put it on top of like cold jicama and like
Oh my gosh. Wow.
fruit. It was just like it was just a really good dish.
Yeah,
And,
okay.
I love like eating in New York. I feel like there's just so many things to try, and like even
Sure, yeah.
myself, like I feel like I have to like find new things. And when you go like outside of like Manhattan and like inner Brooklyn, like the price point is better. Like
Okay.
I feel like
good to
even
know.
the cuisine is like even better. So
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh, that is so rad. Yeah. Again, I feel like I've just been like primarily in Manhattan and just experienced.
yeah, I mean, there's good food. You said that you're up in Inwood, so
Mhm.
I feel like I've been wanting to try like the night market up there.
Sure.
I don't know if you've heard about it, but
No. Yeah, no,
there's
that's
a
so
night-
rad.
I don't know if they are doing it currently. I feel like it might be a summer thing, but I don't
Sure. Yeah. No, that is so rad. No,
Yeah.
I feel like again, like I said before, people have always just been like, yeah, I really miss Brooklyn and just like how the culture of it is like.
know. Food.
Yeah.
There's always so many pop-ups, always so many like like little artists selling their like little things that they're
Yeah.
making and like as their like side gigs and hustles.
Oh my god, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. I'm assuming like being here, in terms of diversity, it's not an alienating experience, just because like you can kind of see and
It depends. It depends
Different
where
people.
I am because, like, I feel like in Manhattan, I feel like there are some groups that are predominantly in Manhattan, and I
Okay.
feel like that's
like some neighborhoods that
it's-
are like
some neighborhoods that are a little more like entrenched with not or I should say a lack of diversity.
Oh sure.
But I don't know. And New York is such a melting pot. If you
Yeah.
are only entrenched in like one like specific culture, then you're not really seeing New York.
Sure, yeah,
Anyways. So yeah.
I've had somebody tell me that if New York can be as big or as small as you
Yep.
want it to be.
Yeah.
I think it's like the most fascinating thing, and I think that's like such an overwhelming feeling that is New York. That is, it is huge, and it rightfully so. It is. But again, it can be as small as like, as far as your bodega
Yeah.
is. I think it's like so fascinating because like I definitely felt that in my first week of being here. I'm just like, okay, like I'm gonna go to the grocery store that's like right there, like around the block.
Yeah.
And it's all I've known that existed right up until I started work, and I'm just like, it's actually not as daunting as you'd think that it is.
It's not.
Oddly.
You definitely have to like go out of your comfort zone, but like I feel like you have to like constantly think like no one's watching you. Like
No.
you're literally like, I don't want to say that you're on your own in a sad way, but like you're on your own when like you are like stepping foot and you're making your own adventure. So
Yeah.
like just do it.
yeah. And again, like I feel like there's no judgment outwardly passed, or just
Yeah.
like there's like not like again everybody's like doing their own thing and just making their own way.
I feel like people get caught up in their own head, like, oh, like I don't want to do this thing by myself because people will think I'm like a loner. But like, no.
Sure, yeah,
like,
yeah,
do
yeah.
the thing because you want to see something new or like try something new, and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you don't necessarily have to have someone with you, but
Yeah, no, for sure. Do you have any like advice or just like things that you can think of, or like things that you knew when you first moved here that you would pass on to somebody that is thinking about it?
I think it goes with what we were talking about earlier. Is like if you want to do the thing that like is like on your mind, just do it, even
Okay.
if it's gonna take you like an hour on the subway. Like
Yeah.
that'll be an hour of you like listening to music or like reading or like
yeah,
people watching.
yeah. People watching is actually really fun.
Yeah. And oh my god, the train can be a little like iffy, especially when it's showtime. Have you had that?
No, what do you mean?
So there are like dance performers that come
Oh,
on the
yes,
train,
okay.
and they yell showtime and like they just,
okay.
like perform everywhere.
Yeah.
But when it isn't like crazy and hectic like that, like just enjoy the time that you're on the subway, and then when you reach your destination, wherever that may be, you're gonna be like, oh, that was worth it. And New York is tiring, and you just have
Yeah.
to accept that you'll start the day really early and probably end it really late, and most of the time would have been spent like traveling and commuting, but like
Yeah.
wherever you go, it would have been a good day anyways.
Yeah.
I think that was the thing like I wanted to take from my internship, and then like actually living here was like I didn't want to lose my adventurous side and my I guess my touristy side of like wanting to try new things and see new things.
Yeah.
Because I think the more you live here, the more entrenched you are in the neighborhood that you're in, and you're like, why don't I just go to the lunch spot that I like know that I love versus like going to a space that like is new and like
Yeah.
I've been recommended, but it's kind of far.
Sure. Yeah.
But for me, if that is the case, I am almost always more likely to try the new spot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like life is short, and you have to like try new things.
Yeah. I will say what I've experienced is that like I've had like a laundry list of things that I'm just like, oh cool, I want to go here, I want to go here, and I'm going to do this thing, but I've been finding myself not, or rather I've just been like resting or just like prepping for the show or whatever.
I mean, and also sometimes you need to rest. I feel like your job is like difficult too, and
but I will say like the best part about being here is that it's a lot easier to connect with friends. Like I mean this is like such a weird anomaly, but I did see a friend as I was like leaving like where I was at. I just got in the subway, and as I was about to get into the train, I saw at my stop a friend that I haven't seen like about a year and a half, and and like it's
Wow.
audition season for singers,
yeah.
and so like everybody's like popping in and out of the city right now. But she was like, "Oh my God, do you want to go get a drink?" And so she's on the east side, and I
Yeah.
did not know how that was gonna be like at
Yeah.
all, and so it was an hour commute going back,
Yeah.
like back up to Inwood, but
Yeah.
which it wasn't the biggest deal, but
Uh-huh.
you know, like obviously, like I knew that
Yeah.
the trains ran less frequently in the evening,
Mhm.
but I didn't know that I had to like basically go back to almost exactly where I was and then take the
Yeah.
one back up. So anyway, but it was this whole thing of just
it
like
do be like that.
yeah, like I was talking to the roommate about it, and he was just like, yeah, it's great like going up and down, uptown and down, like up down to downtown or vice versa or whatever else, but it's weird going east to west at times, and I was just
Especially
like,
in Manhattan.
yeah,
it's hard.
yeah. I again learned that the hard way, and I'm just
Yeah.
like, okay, like I'm getting home like a little bit past 2, but like whatever. I like honestly, I'm just grateful that the trains still run, and
Yeah.
the thing was that I was like too prideful to just like take a lift back, but I'm just like, I should have just done that.
I
I
know.
don't
What
think it
is
was
that?
bad.
Like $50 or $60? Like.
Yeah, right. But
I
and
mean, if you're like drunk and tired, then yes.
sure, yeah.
Yes.
Well, the thing is, like, it's funny because like I only had like one drink, and I'm just
Yeah.
like, okay, like how is it gonna be? Like, fuck, it's gonna
Yeah.
be it's gonna be like another hour going
Yeah.
back home.
I feel
But
like that's also one thing I'm stubborn about is like if I can train, I'll do it.
sure, yeah.
Like-
I like it though, but like what you said earlier is that the commute is actually really nice, and you can like consume media in like different ways. I was talking to the roommate about it. I was like, oh, like I at times, and I'm sure you feel this way too at times, is like, what can I do to be more productive about this, like during the commute? And I'm just like, you can just zen out and chill or whatever.
Exactly.
I'd like-
That's you being productive because
Yeah.
like you need that time to like decompress,
Yeah.
be in your own thoughts, whatever those thoughts are.
yeah, I started just like blasting music or just
Yeah.
or like diving into like some audiobooks because like I stopped doing audiobooks in like the past year,
Yeah.
and actually canceled my Audible subscription, which now it sucks because like I started getting back into it right now,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and it's been nice to just kind of like take the book like bits at a time or whatever, and I was like, okay, that's actually
Yeah.
kind of nice, and just like
Yeah,
focus
get
in
it
on whatever
back.
it is.
Audible.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, no, but it's been really nice in that way of just like, okay, I feel like I'm engaged, but I'm not, and I'm still, I don't need to be continuously productive, and I feel like that's like something that I have to like fight back of just like, even if I'm having like days off or if I'm in between productions, I'm just kind of like, okay, well, like what can I do to just like be better and like to grow or whatever. It's like you can also just rest and
Yeah.
like recuperate or whatever else, but
Yeah.
it was like a nice medium of like, okay, like I'm being leisurely about my time right now, but also I feel like I'm still like learning and kind of growing a little bit more and just doing a little bit more for myself, which is really right. I think it took me a second to just be like, okay, like you can use this time to just like chill
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
But I do like the subway system. Did you ever envision yourself being here or like even through
No.
college or
This
like
was,
high school?
This was a crazy like just opportunity and like
Yeah.
dream.
Yeah.
Like I just thought like, hey, I'm gonna intern in like New York for a couple months, come back home.
Oh, really?
Life
Okay.
will be normal and like.
Oh my God.
But like this is my normal now, and it's crazy.
Yeah. How long was your internship for?
So I like had I did the program twice. So
Okay.
after my junior year and then after my senior year. In my senior year, I was like my internship was like advertising, but in like the health space,
Okay.
and like I quickly knew like it was just not for me.
Oh, that's good. I mean,
It's
like
just,
it's a
like,
good way of just being like,
The-
okay,
yeah, the
no,
creative
no.
is just different. It's like I'm like selling like medicines to like
Oh, okay.
PCPs or like consumers, and it was just, and I power to the people who can do that. I cannot.
I completely understand that.
Yeah, and I was just like, okay, I'm going back to Houston. Like, I'm not going to stay in this internship.
Sure, yeah.
But I was just like applying to a couple jobs, and that one online publication like got back to me, and I was
Yeah.
like, whoa, I'm going to stay in New York.
Yeah, and you never look
Crazy.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely have envisioned at times like being here, living here, and I definitely have had partners that were just like, oh yeah, like we should like live in New York and
Yeah.
like have had like the New York dream.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd ever want to like raise a family here necessarily, but like
Yes,
I don't know. I will say I feel like I'm assimilating a lot better than I thought I would in a lot of ways. It's nice. It's actually like really nice being here. It's nice being around people. It's nice to It's nice to not drive. I think that's like the thing is like whenever I get home, I feel so fatigued from like driving at times, and like commutes in Houston, as you know, it's like an hour, like like 30 minutes there and back. Yeah, and I feel like it's getting worse just because like the freeways are getting wider, and so of course like they still have to funnel into like the same amount of lanes, and people are what they are in terms of driving, but so it goes. But like here, it's nice to not drive. I feel like I still have like energy to actually like cook or like do other things or like exist a little bit more and decompress. But I feel like being in a car and actually actively driving, I'm just kind of like,
yeah, I know. Ugh.
But no, I really appreciate the subway system. I think it's really rad.
Me too.
And like you said, people watching is really fun too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So many different lives, so many different journeys people are taking.
No, for sure, it's been really fun. Hannah, it's been so fun getting to connect with you and having you here. It really means a lot.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, no, it's cool because like again, like I don't get to know or dig deeper into what you do, and also again, like I don't think I've mentioned this yet, is that she's the first person that is not a musician, which is really rad. Talk about like having artists on the show. I haven't had other disciplines, which is really rad, and so.
Sorry to disappoint all the music fans listening to this.
No. But like, here's the thing: is like as I was typing out your question, I was like, I don't know what you do, or like I don't know in depth of what you do, and I think initially I literally typed in, explain like I'm 5.
Yeah.
What? Please tell me about like what you do. Because like
type it into ChatGPT. Questions for a graphic designer.
Right. I'm just like, oh yeah. No, but it's really rad. I think it's really awesome that that you're able to come on and for us able to hang out for a little bit as well.
This was really fun.
Yeah. And to be able to just catch up for a bit too. I feel like oh my god, it's so rad.
Thank you for listening to me.
Yeah. Can we find where can we find you on socials?
Hannah Chua Apple on Instagram, and then you'll find my website there and connect with me there. DM me, friend me.
Yeah, hire her. Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah.
Freelance me.
Yeah. Shameless plug. Absolutely.
I know. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Hannah. Can I give you a hug?
Yeah.
Thanks so much for joining us on this episode. We release episodes every 3rd and 5th Tuesday of every month. If you enjoyed this one, please like, comment, share, subscribe, or follow. If you'd like to join us for future episodes, reach out to wearyellowproudly@gmail.com. Once again, this is Wear Yellow Proudly's Through Our Lens, conversations with Asians and Asian Americans. I'm your host, Julia Sanchez, and we will see you on the next episode.